I'm here with Kevin Bader, owner of the Sandlot Training Center.
You're welcome. Glad to be here.
Kevin, what motivated you to start the Sandlot Training Center?
You know, a couple of different things. I think for myself, I grew up in an area where ball players had a little bit more of an opportunity to train more year-round. When you look at a lot of good ball players, they come from the South and they have the opportunity to train in a longer season. And you know, here in southeast Wisconsin, we have long winters and you know, competing other sports, and it was really difficult to really gain improvement and then sustain that improvement through the long winter season. And really, the only good way to do that is to stay out of the elements, have an indoor facility, and bring players in and give them an opportunity to do the training, the improvement training and the sustainability training that they need to get better.
Knowing that your first facility started in Waterville, then you moved to East Troy, now coming to Waukesha, was the move difficult? Did you face any challenges?
Yeah, a couple of different elements. You know, the moves themselves physically were difficult because we have very heavy assets. You know, we have pitching machines that are 500 pounds, and we have turf that's 1,000 pounds. So physically, just logistics of moving things around, yeah, there were some challenges there and required a lot of help. But as far as setting up the business and moving the business side, that was very easy to do. It was just a question of continuing to expand and find bigger buildings, with taller spaces and wider area as our customer demand grew, to try to match that with the facility size. And that's what dictated the first move, and then the second move ultimately is just expanding to meet our customer base. So, but it was a good business move, but yeah, it definitely came with some struggles.
Now, with all those moves, how long have you been with the Sandlot?
We started the Sandlot. The Sandlot Training Center itself is just entering our 4th year. So we had kickoff kind of a half a year in Mukwonago. We had a full year and a half in East Troy, and we're now entering our 3rd season here. So
education is a very big deal. What education background do you have in the business field?
That's a good question. As I came up through school, my undergraduate degree was in engineering, industrial engineering. So I spent a lot of time with that degree and in my profession in factories and plants and doing layouts and understanding kind of layouts of facilities. So that part of it kind of helped me here in the baseball side. As far as running a business, about 5 years ago, some partners and I started a software company. So, we really kind of had that. When it came to the Sandlot, I had some experience in running a business, another business. So that definitely helped in running this business. I'm trying to keep this one small and organized as a secondary job to my primary job.
All right. Now, you mentioned the software company. What kind of capital did you bring in from that in order to help you out with the Sandlot?
Sure. Directly from that business, none. But basically, when we started the Sandlot, I had another partner in the business, and he and I were the people that contributed to startup capital that we needed. So it came from my personal income, his personal income. We invested in the business and basically kind of spent our own personal money getting started. We were at a point where we didn't really need to go out and get external capital. We didn't need to go to a bank or lending facility to get what we needed to start up. He and I together had that. But that was definitely something we considered. And when you can do it yourself, it's always better than going through a finance group. But sometimes you have to do that. Our software company, we did that early on as well.
Now, with the money, would you recommend starting small and working your way up to a bigger area? to work with?
I personally prefer that, but by nature, and I think again it goes back to maybe my engineering degree, but I'm a pretty conservative person when it comes to that. You know, I like the idea of proving out a concept, and that's really what we did. When we started the original Sandlot, it was in a small area inside a sporting goods store. My overhead was very low, and it was really just to prove out, is this something that can make it in this area of the state? You know, is the interest there? We didn't really know. We suspected, but we didn't really have any data to support that. It was really just a suspicion and kind of anecdotal stuff. And really, what we learned in that first 6 months there was significant interest, and that this is something that could take hold, you know, grab roots and grow. And that's really what led us into that second facility in East Troy.
Now, with having a business, you're going to make sacrifices. What kind of sacrifice have you made with your other job in the Sandlot?
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. You know, my primary job is one where, you know, I travel for that. I travel all around the country for that, and that always takes first priority. So that schedule pretty much dictates what I have left over. So what I have left over outside of the primary job is, you know, is family, and then the Sandlot. So a lot of the work that was done in setting up the facility, maintaining and growing the facility was done after hours, evenings, and weekends. And my family's been very supportive of it. You know, it helps that I have, you know, family that like baseball, and you know, a circuit of friends that were really interested in this as well. So to some extent, mixing this business with family, there was a lot of integration there, which made it easier.
Now, how has this affected your family life? Are you home a lot, or are you know, the workplace?
You know, I'm definitely not home a lot. But, you know, this came along at the right time. I think that, you know, anytime you look at a business and, you know, you look to do something like this, especially as a secondary thing like we did here, you know, when I have 3 children, and when my children were very little, there was no way this was going to happen. You know, this didn't really happen. We didn't really launch the Sandlot until all 3 of my kids were, you know, old enough to kind of be sustainable. They started their own activities, so they're busy. You know, they're not home because they're doing their sports activities or their school activities and those type of things. So we still have family time, and you know, that's important to us. But when they're doing their activities, you know, I'm doing my activities here, and sometimes those are one and the same. Which, and when that happens, that's really nice.
What have been some of your failures with the Sandlot?
You know, I think there's a couple. You know, one of them I think is in my partnership with the partner in the business. We lack some attention to some details there that needed to happen, mostly around the financial side of the business. But we've kind of regained those and got beyond that. The other is we used the name to form a couple of baseball teams, and that kind of convoluted us a little bit because there were other teams that felt like this facility was only for that organization, and that certainly wasn't the case. So we refocused when we moved here to Waukesha. We got rid of all of the baseball teams that were associated with the Sandlot and just went back to the Sandlot Training Center, open to any organization, any team, any age, and that was really a wise decision. So, you know, if I had to go back in time, I would certainly have not gone down the path of doing teams and having a couple teams that were named the Sandlot.
Okay. In your years of here at the Sandlot, what has been the most satisfying moment of being here?
Boy, that's a great question. There's been a lot. You know, at the beginning, it was just kind of having our grand opening and seeing the reaction of the family and the friends and the players that come in and say, "Wow, I really enjoy this. This is helping me, you know, develop as a player." You know, the rest of it is really not so much, you know, one grand event as it is just anecdotally the stories I hear from players, you know, or coaches that'll call and say, "Hey, coach, you know, we won a tournament. You know, our players really got better, and we really feel like the Sandlot was a part of helping us get to where we need to do." So when I look at the number of tournament championships for the ball players, number of all conference players, to me that's what's satisfying. When you can look at players that have trained here where they've had success, that's what drives us. Those are the points that you feel good about.
How do you generate new ideas, maybe drills, new things to bring into the center?
Sure. Again, another question. It's interesting when we started with the Sandlot. I had the engineering background. My partner was actually a marketing guy, so his kind of task was be the creative one, try to come up with different marketing ideas. He's left the business now, and so I feel like there's a void there. So what do I do personally at this point? I talk to a lot of people. I've got a pretty good network of baseball people. I'm always searching. I talk to coaches. I go to clinics. Meet different people. I get on the internet, and I'm constantly looking for new ideas, new drills, new concepts, things like that. So it's really a combination of different things. The internet, and then just my network of people. And recently attended a thing with the Milwaukee Brewers down at Miller Park, where again, a lot of great concepts, and how do I drill that in with given drills, and they provided a whole litany of things, which is good. But it's a challenge.
If you were to start over with all the information you have now, what would you do differently with this one?
Boy, that's a good question. I'd do a little bit more research in the market in terms of where the concentration of teams are. We started in Waconago, in East Troy, because myself and my partner lived there. Looking at Waukesha is just an example of being here now. There's just a larger concentration of teams. About 5 times the number of teams here. And like anything else, you hear in real estate, location, location, location. Well, it's the same thing. You have to go, your business has to be located where your customers are. And in this particular case, there's just a lot more customers. So, when that happens, you can be a little bit more selective on who you want to work with, who you want to invite into, train at the center. And I find that helps the business. It helps us deliver and meet the expectations of our customers. So concentration of teams and boils down to location.
Where do you see the Sandlot going in the near future, next couple of years?
Transition. I'm at a point where my son is basically got 2 more years of baseball before he goes to college. At that point, I would imagine we're going to transition to a younger generation of coaches and players that want to continue to grow the facility. So, even here at this location, we're excited to be here because we've been able to expand the footprint of the facility, and we have an opportunity within the same building to further expand with under this same roof, and that's exciting. So the demand's there, and there's a next generation of coaches that really want to do this, and we can do it right here. So I would imagine probably be same for the next couple of years, and then we'll probably see a transition after that.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.